The purpose of this presentation is to illuminate the profound influence of philosophy and the humanities on social sciences. We'll explore how philosophical inquiry shapes our understanding of society and human behavior, highlighting the interdisciplinary connections that enrich these fields. Central to our discussion is the work of Alexander C. Micholas, an often overlooked figure whose contributions have quietly revolutionized multiple domains of thought. His 1970s publication, Improving Your Reasoning, a comprehensive treatise on formal deductive logic, inspired many, including myself, to pursue philosophical studies. Micholas's work in healthcare ethics and environmental philosophy demonstrates the versatility and practical applications of philosophical thinking in addressing societal issues. Of particular significance is Micholas's 1985 multidimensional discrepancy model, which has greatly influenced approaches to measuring social indicators. This model exemplifies the far-reaching impact of philosophical methodologies in social scientific inquiry. As we proceed, I will demonstrate through Micholas's multidimensional model the importance of philosophy and the humanities. By exploring the philosophical underpinnings of social scientific inquiry, we aim to foster a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of these disciplines and their role in addressing complex social issues. Alexander C. Micholos's MDT stands as a testament to the power of multidimensional frameworks in understanding human satisfaction, well-being, and the complex interplay of individual and societal experiences. This comprehensive lecture explores the depth and breadth of MDT, its applications across various disciplines, and its potential for informing our understanding of trauma, cultural variations, and societal dynamics. The genesis and core concepts of multiple discrepancies. Theory developed in 1985 by Canadian philosopher and political scientist Alexander C. Micholas. MDT emerged during a period of growing interest in measuring quality of life beyond mere economic indicators. The theory posits that an individual's satisfaction and happiness are functions of perceived gaps between their current situation and various comparison points. MDT identifies 7 key perceived discrepancies. These include what one has and wants, what one has compared to what relevant others have, the best one has had in the past, what one expected to have 3 years ago, what one expects to have after 5 years, what one deserves, and what one needs. The brilliance of MDT lies in its multidimensional approach. By considering multiple reference points, it captures the nuanced nature of human satisfaction more accurately than simpler models. This approach recognizes that individuals don't evaluate their lives in isolation, but rather in relation to various standards and expectations. MDT in the context of social indicators research. To fully appreciate the significance of MDT, we must consider its place within the broader field of social indicators research. The social indicators movement, which gained momentum in the 1960s and 1970s, sought to develop measures of societal progress that went beyond traditional economic metrics like GDP. Micholas was a key figure in this movement, contributing not only MDT but also other significant works such as the North American Social Report, NASR, and research on combining social, economic, and environmental indicators. His work reflects a growing recognition that well-being and societal progress are multifaceted concepts that cannot be captured by economic measures alone. Analytical depth of MDT. The theory's strength lies in its ability to account for the relative nature of satisfaction. By considering multiple discrepancies, MDT can explain why individuals in objectively similar circumstances might report vastly different levels of satisfaction. For instance, 2 individuals with identical incomes might report different levels of financial satisfaction based on their wants, their perceptions of what others have, their past experiences, and their expectations for the future. This nuanced approach allows for a more accurate understanding of satisfaction than models that rely solely on objective measures. Moreover, MDT's inclusion of both past experiences and future expectations adds a temporal dimension to the understanding of satisfaction. This aspect of the theory aligns with psychological research on the importance of both memory and anticipation in shaping current emotional states. MDT and social dynamics. One of the most intriguing aspects of MDT is its potential to illuminate complex social dynamics. The theory provides valuable insights into the interplay between individualism, social cohesion, and the desire for social visibility. Consider the second discrepancy in MDT, the comparison between what one has and what relevant others have. This comparison directly relates to social visibility and can drive both the desire to be seen and the potential for othering. When individuals perceive large gaps between themselves and others, it may lead to discontent and social fragmentation. This aspect of MDT has profound implications for understanding phenomena such as social media use and its impact on well-being. The constant exposure to curated representations of others' lives on social platforms may exacerbate perceived discrepancies, potentially leading to decreased satisfaction and increased social tension. Furthermore, MDT can provide insights into the balance between individualism and social cohesion. While the theory acknowledges individual aspirations through discrepancies related to personal wants and expectations, it also recognizes the importance of social comparisons. This dual focus mirrors the broader societal need to reconcile individual pursuits with collective well-being. MDT as a tool for measuring societal trends. Beyond its applications to individual well-being, MDT offers potential as a tool for measuring broader societal trends. By examining patterns in perceived discrepancies across populations, researchers and policymakers might gain insights into social cohesion, inequality, and potential sources of societal tension. For example, increasing gaps in the second discrepancy, comparison with others, across a population might indicate growing social divisions. Similarly, a shift in focus towards individual-centric discrepancies at the expense of socially oriented ones could signal increasing individualism within a society. MDT in trauma. Informed analysis. Trauma-informed approaches have gained significant traction in recent years, emphasizing the need to recognize and respond to the widespread impact of trauma. MDT, with its focus on perceived gaps between current states and various reference points, provides a unique lens through which to examine trauma and its effects. In trauma-informed analysis, MDT can serve as an anomalous mechanism by shifting the focus from the traumatic event itself to the discrepancies it creates in an individual's life. For instance, a trauma survivor might experience significant gaps between their current state and their pre-trauma self. Their expectations for the future before the trauma, their perception of how others without trauma are functioning, and their sense of what they deserve or need. By framing trauma in terms of these discrepancies, clinicians and researchers can gain a more nuanced understanding of its impact. This approach aligns with the trauma-informed principle of recognizing the widespread effects of trauma while also providing a structured way to assess and address these effects. MDT and person-centered thinking. The application of MDT to person-centered thinking represents a natural extension of the theory's inherent focus on individual perceptions and experiences. Person-centered approaches emphasize the importance of understanding and respecting each individual's unique perspective, values, and goals. MDT provides a structured framework for exploring these individual differences. In a person-centered context, MDT can be used to assess an individual's satisfaction across various life domains by examining perceived discrepancies. It can help identify personal goals and aspirations by exploring desired states and expectations. The theory can also aid in understanding an individual's values and priorities by examining which discrepancies are most salient to them. Finally, MDT can facilitate self-reflection and personal growth by encouraging individuals to examine and potentially reframe their perceived discrepancies. By utilizing MDT in this way, practitioners can gain a more comprehensive understanding of an individual's subjective experience and tailor interventions or support accordingly. MDT in literary analysis. The application of MDT to literary analysis offers a novel approach to understanding character development, narrative tension, and thematic exploration in literature. By examining the perceived discrepancies experienced by literary characters, analysts can gain deeper insights into their motivations, conflicts, and arcs. Tennessee Williams' The Glass Menagerie provides a rich tapestry for MDT analysis. The character of Amanda Wingfield embodies a profound discrepancy between her idealized past and her present reality. Her constant refrain, "In the South we had so many servants," highlights the gap between her current circumstances and her romanticized memories. This discrepancy drives much of the play's tension and Amanda's behavior, illustrating how perceived gaps can shape character motivations and actions. Betty Smith's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn offers another compelling example of MDT in literature. The protagonist, Francie Nolan, navigates a world of stark contrasts between her aspirations and her impoverished reality. Smith writes, "She was made up of more too. She was the book she read in the library." This poignant observation underscores the discrepancy between Francie's intellectual hunger and her limited circumstances, a gap that propels her character development throughout the novel. William Faulkner's A Rose for Emily presents a different facet of MDT analysis. The titular character, Emily Grierson, embodies a complex web of discrepancies between societal expectations, personal desires, and the changing world around her. Faulkner's haunting line, "Then we noticed that in the second pillow was the indentation of a head," reveals the extreme lengths to which Emily goes to reconcile these discrepancies, highlighting the potential psychological consequences of unresolved gaps in one's life. These literary examples demonstrate how MDT can be used to analyze character development by tracking how perceived discrepancies change throughout the narrative, providing a structured way to understand character growth or regression. It can also illuminate narrative tension by examining the gaps between characters' current states and their desires, expectations, or social comparisons as drivers of plot and conflict. Thematic exploration can be enhanced by identifying recurring patterns of discrepancies across multiple characters or works, illuminating broader themes about human nature, society, or the human condition. Additionally, the relatability of characters' perceived discrepancies might contribute to readers' emotional investment in the narrative, offering insights into reader engagement. MDT in philosophical inquiry. In the realm of philosophical inquiry, MDT can serve as a valuable tool for exploring questions related to human satisfaction, well-being, and the nature of subjective experience. The theory's emphasis on perceived discrepancies aligns with philosophical traditions that emphasize the role of subjective experience in shaping reality. MDT can inform philosophical discussions on the nature of happiness and well-being, the role of social comparison in human experience, the relationship between expectations and reality, and the concept of deservingness. By applying MDT to these philosophical questions, researchers can bridge empirical findings with theoretical constructs, potentially leading to more grounded and nuanced philosophical arguments. Cultural variations in trauma and MDT. The conceptualization and experience of trauma are deeply influenced by cultural factors. As Hinton and Luis Fernandez, 2010, argue, different cultural contexts foster attention to partially overlapping but also distinct sets of post-traumatic symptoms. This cultural variation extends to what is considered traumatic, how trauma is expressed, and what constitutes appropriate responses to trauma. In some tribal cultures, for instance, experiences that might be considered traumatic in Western contexts may be viewed differently. Among warrior tribes, exposure to violence might be seen as a rite of passage rather than a source of trauma. However, it's crucial to avoid overgeneralizing or romanticizing these cultural differences. MDT can be adapted to measure these cultural variations by adjusting the reference points used in assessing discrepancies. For example, in a warrior culture, the discrepancy between one's performance in battle and the cultural ideal might be more salient than discrepancies related to personal safety or comfort. Intergenerational transmission of trauma. One of the most significant aspects of collective trauma is its potential for intergenerational transmission. As Vulcan, 1997, describes, traumatic events can become chosen traumas that are woven into a group's identity and passed down through generations. This process can be understood through MDT by considering how perceived discrepancies between a group's idealized past and its current reality shape collective identity and behavior. In the case of Ukraine, the current conflict can be seen as reactivating historical traumas, creating a complex web of discrepancies that span generations. The ongoing Russian-Ukrainian conflict has reopened deep wounds from the forced Ukrainian famine of 1932-1933, known as the Holodomor. This man-made catastrophe, orchestrated by the Soviet regime under Joseph Stalin, resulted in the deaths of millions of Ukrainians and left an indelible mark on the nation's collective psyche. The Holodomor was a deliberate act of genocide designed to break the Ukrainian peasantry and national resistance to Soviet rule. During this period, Soviet authorities confiscated all food from rural Ukrainian households, including livestock and crops. The severity of the famine led to unimaginable horrors, with reports of widespread cannibalism. People were driven to eat the dead, and in some cases even killed and ate their own family members out of desperation. For many Ukrainians today, the memory of the Holodomor remains a vivid part of their family history. Grandparents who survived the famine passed down stories of the immense suffering and loss they experienced. As one Ukrainian interviewee, Olena, recounted, "My grandmother survived the Holodomor and saved her 2 children, including my grandfather. And I know absolutely exactly what was happening in our village at that time. How people were eaten, how whole villages were dying." The Soviet regime's attempts to bury this history, denying the existence of the famine and suppressing discussion of it, only deepened the trauma. This forced silence prevented proper mourning and healing, leading to what psychologists term disenfranchised grief, a grief that cannot be openly acknowledged or publicly mourned. The current Russian aggression against Ukraine has brought these painful memories to the surface. Many Ukrainians see clear parallels between Stalin's tactics and those employed in the ongoing conflict. As Olena stated, "We know that genocide was taking place, and we understand that genocide is happening now." This reactivation of historical trauma through current events aligns with MDT's framework. The perceived discrepancies between Ukraine's aspirations for independence and security and the reality of ongoing aggression, coupled with the echoes of past atrocities, create a complex psychological landscape. Understanding this through the lens of MDT can provide insights into the depth of Ukraine's resistance and the profound impact of the conflict on Ukrainian society. MDT and interdisciplinary humanities. Research MDT's versatility makes it a valuable tool for interdisciplinary research in the humanities. In analyzing texts of antiquity, for instance, MDT can provide insights into the psychological and social dynamics of historical periods. The memoirs of Princess Dashkova, a prominent figure in 18th century Russia, offer a rich source for such analysis. Her writings could be examined through the lens of MDT to understand how her perceptions of discrepancies between her expectations and reality shaped her experiences and actions. For example, Dashkova writes, "I was brought up in the belief that I should marry only for love, and that wealth and high rank were matters of secondary importance." This statement could be analyzed in terms of the discrepancies between Dashkova's ideals and the social realities of her time, providing insights into both her personal experiences and broader social dynamics of 18th century Russian aristocracy. The application of MDT to humanities research is particularly important in expanding current models and methodologies. By applying and adapting these methodologies to literature and artifacts of popular culture, those elements of leisure or convenience born out of discontent, we can gain a deeper interdisciplinary understanding outside the scope of the social sciences. This approach allows researchers to examine how perceived discrepancies manifest in cultural products, offering insights into societal values, aspirations, and sources of dissatisfaction. Furthermore, this interdisciplinary application of MDT may aid in the expansion of these applications by the social sciences. The analysis of literary works, films, music, and other cultural artifacts through the lens of MDT can provide social scientists with rich, contextual data about how individuals and societies perceive and navigate discrepancies. This cross-pollination of ideas between humanities and social sciences can lead to more nuanced and comprehensive models of human experience and behavior. Micholos's other contributions. While MDT is Micholos's most well-known contribution, his work on quality-of-life research and social indicators also offers valuable tools for understanding trauma and its societal impacts. His emphasis on combining subjective and objective measures of well-being aligns with contemporary approaches to trauma research that recognize the importance of both personal experiences and broader social contexts. Michalos' work on sustainable human well-being, which integrates social, economic, and environmental indicators, provides a framework for understanding trauma in a holistic, systemic context. This approach is particularly relevant when examining collective traumas that have wide-ranging societal impacts. Diversifying and expanding MDT. While MDT has already demonstrated its versatility, there are several ways in which the theory could be further diversified and expanded. These include exploring cultural adaptations to enhance the theory's cross-cultural applicability, investigating temporal dynamics to understand how perceived discrepancies change over time, examining interaction effects between different types of discrepancies, developing domain-specific applications for areas such as work or relationship satisfaction, integrating MDT with other psychological and sociological theories, and creating technological applications to make the theory more accessible and applicable in various settings. Conclusion. Alexander C. Micholos's multiple discrepancies theory offers a rich and versatile framework that extends far beyond its original scope. Its potential applications in trauma-informed analysis, person-centered thinking, literary analysis, and philosophical inquiry demonstrate its value as a multidimensional tool for understanding human experience. By framing satisfaction and well-being in terms of perceived discrepancies, MDT provides a nuanced and flexible approach that can be adapted to various contexts and disciplines. Its emphasis on subjective perceptions aligns with contemporary trends towards more person-centered and individualized approaches in various fields. As we continue to explore and expand the applications of MDT, we open up new avenues for understanding the complexity of human experience. Whether used to inform clinical interventions, analyze literary works, or explore philosophical questions, MDT offers a structured yet flexible framework for examining the multifaceted nature of human satisfaction and well-being. The ongoing diversification and refinement of Micholas' tool promise to yield further insights and applications, cementing MDT's place as a valuable contribution to our understanding of human psychology and experience. As we face increasingly complex social and individual challenges, theories like MDT that offer nuanced, multidimensional perspectives become ever more crucial in our quest to understand and improve the human condition. In the context of collective traumas and societal challenges, MDT provides a valuable framework for understanding how perceived discrepancies shape individual and collective experiences. By recognizing the multifaceted nature of satisfaction and well-being, and acknowledging the role of cultural and historical factors in shaping these perceptions, MDT offers a path towards more nuanced and effective approaches to addressing societal issues and promoting collective well-being. As we move forward, the continued exploration and application of MDT across various disciplines holds the promise of deepening our understanding of human experience and providing valuable insights for addressing the complex challenges of our time. From individual well-being to societal progress, from literary analysis to trauma-informed care, MDT stands as a testament to the power of multidimensional thinking in our quest to comprehend and improve the human condition. The versatility of MDT in bridging gaps between different fields of study, psychology, sociology, literature, philosophy, and beyond, underscores its potential as a unifying framework in the social sciences and humanities. By providing a common language to discuss disparities in human experience, MDT facilitates interdisciplinary dialogue and collaboration, potentially leading to more holistic and effective approaches to addressing societal issues. Moreover, as our world becomes increasingly interconnected and complex, theories like MDT that can account for multiple facets of human experience become ever more crucial. The theory's ability to consider both individual and societal factors, as well as past experiences and future expectations, makes it particularly well-suited to analyzing the multifaceted challenges of our globalized world. In conclusion, Alexander C. Micholos's multiple discrepancies theory represents a significant contribution to our understanding of human satisfaction, well-being, and societal dynamics. Its continued development and application across diverse fields of study promise to yield valuable insights and practical applications for years to come. As we face the challenges of the 21st century, MDT offers a robust and flexible framework for understanding and addressing the complexities of human experience in an ever-changing world. As an addendum, let's take some time to reflect on how MDT may reflect in different scenarios. Secondly, let's utilize MDT as well as MDT through the lens of trauma-informed analysis in our approach to literary analysis as an experiment. MDT in jury deliberations. The multiple discrepancies theory provides a valuable framework for understanding the complex psychological processes at play during jury deliberations. The theory's emphasis on perceived gaps between current situations and various comparison points offers insight into how jurors form opinions and reach verdicts. In the context of jury deliberations, MDT can be applied to understand how jurors evaluate evidence, assess witness credibility, and ultimately arrive at a decision. The 7 key discrepancies identified by MDT all play a role in shaping jurors' perspectives and decision-making processes. Jurors may compare the defendant's actions to their own moral standards or societal norms, creating a discrepancy that influences their judgment. Their past experiences with law enforcement or the justice system may color their interpretation of evidence. Expectations about the nature of criminal behavior or the reliability of certain types of evidence can also create discrepancies that affect deliberations. Lawyers, aware of these psychological dynamics, often exploit them during jury selection and trial presentation. During voir dire, attorneys may ask questions designed to reveal potential jurors' discrepancies that could favor their case. For example, a defense attorney in a white-collar crime case might seek jurors who perceive a large gap between their own financial situation and that of wealthy executives, potentially fostering sympathy for the defendant. Prosecutors, on the other hand, might emphasize discrepancies between the defendant's actions and societal expectations of lawful behavior. They may highlight the gap between the victim's experiences and jurors' sense of justice, appealing to the discrepancy between what jurors believe people deserve and the harm caused by the crime. During trial, lawyers craft narratives that exploit these discrepancies. A defense attorney might focus on the defendant's difficult past, emphasizing the gap between their client's upbringing and that of the average juror, potentially eliciting empathy. Prosecutors might stress the discrepancy between the defendant's actions and community standards, appealing to jurors' sense of civic duty. The impact of pretrial biases on verdict tendencies, as mediated by juror interpretations of beyond reasonable doubt, illustrates how MDT operates in jury decision-making. Research has shown that jurors prone to conviction tend to have a lower standard of proof, reflecting a discrepancy in their interpretation of legal standards compared to more acquittal-prone jurors. Pre-decisional distortion, where jurors interpret new evidence to support their tentative verdict preference, can be understood through MDT as well. This bias reflects a discrepancy between jurors' evolving case theory and new information, with jurors often distorting evidence to minimize this gap. The influence of defendant and victim characteristics on juror decision-making also aligns with MDT. Stereotypes and representativeness. Heuristics create discrepancies between jurors' expectations and the individuals involved in the case. For instance, jurors might perceive a greater discrepancy between their expectations of a typical criminal and a defendant who doesn't fit that stereotype, potentially leading to more lenient judgments. Racial bias in jury decisions, as revealed by research, can be interpreted through MDT as well. The discrepancy between jurors' perceptions of different racial groups and the defendant's race can influence verdict decisions, particularly when judicial instructions are absent or when continuous rating scales are used instead of dichotomous choices. Literary analysis through the lens of MDT. A deep dive into Faulkner's A Rose for Emily. William Faulkner's A Rose for Emily presents a rich tapestry of discrepancies that can be illuminated through the application of multiple discrepancies theory, MDT. The story's protagonist, Emily Grierson, embodies a complex web of perceived gaps between her reality and various points of comparison, offering a profound exploration of the human psyche in the face of societal change and personal trauma. At the core of Emily's character lies a fundamental discrepancy between her aristocratic upbringing and the evolving social landscape of the post-Civil War South. This gap forms the bedrock upon which many of her subsequent discrepancies are built. Emily's perception of her social status, informed by her father's influence and the town's initial reverence for her family, stands in stark contrast to the changing realities of her environment. The decaying grandeur of her house serves as a physical manifestation of this discrepancy, a tangible reminder of the gap between her perceived place in society and her actual circumstances. The discrepancy between Emily's self-perception and the town's evolving view of her drives much of the narrative tension. Initially seen as a tradition, a duty, and a care, Emily becomes an object of curiosity and, later, concern for the townspeople. This shift creates a widening gap between Emily's static self-image and her dynamic social reality. Her refusal to pay taxes, for instance, can be interpreted as an attempt to maintain her perceived status, clinging to an outdated social order that no longer exists. Emily's relationship with her father creates another significant discrepancy that shapes her character. The gap between her father's domineering presence and her own desires for companionship and autonomy creates a tension that persists even after his death. Her refusal to acknowledge his passing for 3 days illustrates a profound discrepancy between her emotional reality and the physical fact of his death. This denial foreshadows her later, more extreme rejection of Homer Barron's death, suggesting a pattern of using denial to bridge unbearable discrepancies in her life. The arrival of Homer Barron introduces new discrepancies into Emily's world. The gap between her traditional Southern upbringing and Homer's Northern working-class background creates social tension. Moreover, the discrepancy between Emily's desire for a permanent relationship and Homer's apparent reluctance to marry drives her to extreme actions. The purchase of the arsenic represents a pivotal moment where Emily attempts to resolve this discrepancy through tragic means. Emily's isolation from the community, partly self-imposed and partly a result of social changes, creates a growing discrepancy between her private world and the public sphere. This gap is symbolized by the closed doors and drawn curtains of her house, creating a physical and metaphorical barrier between her internal reality and the external world. The townspeople's curiosity about her hidden life underscores this discrepancy, culminating in the shocking discovery after her death. From a trauma-informed perspective, MDT provides valuable insights into Emily's behavior. The early trauma of her father's controlling behavior creates a discrepancy between Emily's need for love and companionship and her learned helplessness. This gap may explain her extreme reaction to the possibility of losing Homer. The discrepancy between her desperate need for connection and her fear of abandonment becomes too great to bear. The trauma of her father's death, compounded by years of isolation, likely exacerbates the discrepancy between Emily's perception of reality and actual events. Her denial of deaths, her father's and Homer's, can be seen as attempts to reconcile the unbearable gap between her desired reality and the traumatic truth. The preservation of Homer's body in the upstairs room represents an extreme effort to bridge this discrepancy, creating a physical manifestation of her refusal to accept loss. The non-linear structure of the story itself creates discrepancies for the reader, mirroring Emily's fragmented experience of time and reality. The gap between what we know at any given point in the narrative and the full truth of Emily's life creates a sense of mystery and foreboding. This narrative technique allows readers to experience, in a limited way, the disorientation and disconnection that characterize Emily's traumatized psyche. Emily's retreat from society and her refusal to adapt to changing times can be understood as a response to the overwhelming discrepancies she perceives between her internal world and external reality. The trauma of loss, isolation, and societal change creates gaps too wide for her to bridge, leading to her withdrawal and eventual complete disconnection from the world around her. The town's complicity in Emily's isolation adds another layer to the MDT analysis. The discrepancy between the community's curiosity about Emily and their unwillingness to intervene creates a social environment that enables her descent into madness. The gap between their perception of Emily as a symbol of the Old South and the reality of her suffering illustrates how societal discrepancies can contribute to individual trauma. The discovery of Homer's body and the strand of Emily's hair on the pillow beside him represents the ultimate collision of discrepancies in the story. The gap between the townspeople's speculations and the grotesque reality, the discrepancy between Emily's external appearance of dignity and her internal psychological decay, and the chasm between her desire for eternal companionship and the physical reality of death, all converge in this final, shocking revelation. Through the lens of MDT, Emily's tragic life can be seen as a series of attempts to reconcile irreconcilable discrepancies. Her inability to bridge the gaps between her perceived reality and the changing world around her leads to increasingly extreme behaviors. The trauma she experiences both creates new discrepancies and exacerbates existing ones, trapping her in a cycle of denial and isolation. Trauma-informed analysis. In literary and jury contexts, applying MDT to trauma-informed analysis in both literary and jury contexts provides valuable insights into the psychological impact of traumatic experiences and their influence on behavior and decision-making. In A Rose for Emily, trauma creates significant discrepancies in Emily's life. The trauma of her father's controlling behavior and subsequent death creates a gap between Emily's need for love and companionship and her learned helplessness. This discrepancy drives her extreme actions and inability to adapt to changing circumstances. Emily's trauma from her isolation and the loss of her social status results in a severe discrepancy between her perception of reality and actual events. This gap manifests in her denial of deaths and her extreme actions to preserve her desired reality, culminating in the preservation of Homer's body. In jury deliberations, trauma-informed analysis through MDT can help jurors understand the behavior of victims, witnesses, and defendants who have experienced trauma. The discrepancies created by traumatic experiences can explain seemingly irrational actions or inconsistent testimonies. For instance, a victim of domestic violence might display behavior that seems counterintuitive to jurors, such as returning to their abuser. MDT can help explain this as a result of the discrepancy between the victim's desire for safety and their traumatic bonding with the abuser. In cases involving childhood trauma, MDT can illuminate how early experiences create discrepancies that influence adult behavior. A defendant with a history of childhood abuse might have a distorted perception of normal relationships, leading to actions that seem inexplicable without this context. For witnesses who have experienced trauma, MDT can help jurors understand how traumatic memories might be fragmented or inconsistent. The discrepancy between the witness's desire to provide a coherent narrative and the nature of traumatic memory can explain apparent inconsistencies in testimony. Lawyers can use trauma-informed MDT analysis to help jurors understand the long-term impacts of traumatic experiences. By highlighting the discrepancies created by trauma between a person's pre- and post-trauma self, between their expectations and reality, or between their needs and their circumstances, attorneys can foster empathy and provide context for behaviors that might otherwise seem puzzling or suspicious. Conclusion: the profound impact of MDT on understanding and empathy. The application of multiple discrepancies. Theory: MDT to diverse contexts, such as jury deliberations and literary analysis, demonstrates its potential to cultivate deep hearing, deep learning, and understanding. This approach encourages individuals to look beyond surface-level behaviors and narratives to explore the underlying psychological dynamics that shape human experiences and actions. In the context of jury deliberations, MDT can foster a more nuanced understanding of the complexities involved in criminal cases. By encouraging jurors to consider the various discrepancies that might influence a defendant's actions or a witness's testimony, MDT promotes a more thorough and empathetic evaluation of evidence. This deeper level of engagement can lead to more just and considered verdicts, as jurors are better equipped to understand the multifaceted nature of human behavior and decision-making. In literary analysis, MDT offers a powerful tool for developing a deeper appreciation of character motivations and narrative structures. As demonstrated in the analysis of A Rose for Emily, this approach allows readers to delve into the psychological intricacies of characters, fostering a more profound understanding of their actions and the themes explored in the work. This depth of analysis can enhance readers' emotional engagement with literature and their capacity for empathy towards diverse human experiences. The trauma-informed application of MDT further amplifies its potential for cultivating understanding and empathy. By providing a framework for comprehending the long-lasting impacts of traumatic experiences, MDT can help bridge the gap between those who have experienced trauma and those who have not. This increased understanding can lead to more compassionate and effective responses to trauma in various settings, from courtrooms to therapeutic environments. The value of Alexander C. Micholas' contribution to this field cannot be overstated. As both a philosopher and a political scientist, Micholas has demonstrated the broad reach and influence that philosophy and the humanities can have on the social sciences. MDT serves as a prime example of how interdisciplinary approaches can yield powerful insights into human behavior and social dynamics. The development of MDT underscores the importance of philosophical inquiry in addressing real-world issues. By providing a conceptual framework for understanding human satisfaction and well-being, Micholas has created a tool that has practical applications across various fields, from psychology to law. This demonstrates the vital role that philosophy and the humanities can play in shaping our understanding of society and human behavior. Furthermore, the application of MDT to diverse contexts highlights the value of humanities-based approaches in enriching social scientific research. The nuanced, context-sensitive analysis that MDT enables aligns well with the strengths of humanities disciplines, which excel at exploring the complexities of human experience and meaning-making. Philosophy and the humanities should engage in such discussions because they offer unique perspectives and methodologies that can complement and enhance social scientific approaches. The ability to grapple with abstract concepts, analyze complex narratives, and consider ethical implications makes humanities scholars well-suited to developing and applying theories like MDT. Moreover, by engaging with social scientific concepts and real-world applications, philosophy and the humanities can demonstrate their continued relevance and value in addressing contemporary societal challenges. This engagement can lead to more holistic and nuanced understandings of human behavior and social phenomena, potentially informing more effective policies and interventions. In conclusion, the application of MDT to jury deliberations and literary analysis represents just a fraction of its potential impact. As we continue to explore and expand the applications of this theory, we open up new avenues for understanding the complexity of human experience. Whether used to inform legal processes, enhance literary interpretation, or guide therapeutic interventions, MDT offers a structured yet flexible framework for examining the multifaceted nature of human satisfaction and well-being. The ongoing exploration and application of MDT across various disciplines holds the promise of deepening our understanding of human experience and providing valuable insights for addressing the complex challenges of our time. From individual well-being to societal progress, from literary analysis to trauma-informed care, MDT stands as a testament to the power of interdisciplinary thinking in our quest to comprehend and improve the human condition. By fostering deep hearing, deep learning, and understanding, MDT and similar interdisciplinary approaches can contribute to a more empathetic and nuanced engagement with the world around us. As we face increasingly complex social and individual challenges, theories like MDT that offer multidimensional perspectives become ever more crucial in our quest to understand and improve the human condition. The continued development and application of such theories across diverse fields of study promise to yield valuable insights and practical applications for years to come, underscoring the enduring value of philosophical inquiry and humanities-based approaches in addressing the complexities of human experience in an ever-changing world.